In today's video, I am going to be breaking down Victor Wembanyama and how he shoots the basketball. He is one of the top recruits for the NBA. Depending on how the rules go, he may be a first-round pick either this year or, of course, next year. So let's get down and let's check out Victor Wembanyama. So in this first clip, what we really want to look at is his base. And of course, he has his right foot slightly in front of his left. What that's going to do for him is to give him power and obviously line up his right side of his body. We also see that his shoulders are over top of his knees and over top of his toes. This is a very balanced shot for a young player who is, believe me, over 7 feet tall. The only thing that I really do have to say that I would say that he needs to improve is, of course, getting his heels off the ground. He tends to have his heels planted onto the ground when he goes up for his shot, and then he rolls into going up onto his toes. That just adds an extra millisecond to his shot, and of course, when he gets into the older age groups, into the NBA, places like that, he's going to need to speed up his shot, and that's going to be one way that he can. Now, when he does gather that ball, he gathers it at the waist, and then he dips it down towards his knees. While some players don't do this dip, we will see many players who do, and it's mainly like a backswing in golf. While some players definitely need to do it, other players have less of a backswing in golf. Now, even though that's a different sport, not every single player needs to have a dip, while a lot of players do to be able to have themselves a consistent shot. When he rises up into his set point, he does tend to have a two-motion shot in my opinion. Now, he does freeze slightly just above his right forehead for him to take that shot. We can also see that there is really good energy transfer up into his shoulders and then into his elbow and wrist. The only thing I have an issue with when it comes to his shot is going to be that heel issue. When he goes from the dip up into his set point, we can see that he slightly bends his elbow a bit. While that can lead to some inconsistencies depending on how much he bends, you generally want to start that ball at the hips so that now when he goes up into his set point, his elbow's already bent, and it also adds a couple of milliseconds to his shot speed. And then when he does release, we can see that he has a slightly soft release, but still doesn't bend his upper hand. He has that hard wrist release. And he does get a lot of spin on that shot and also a lot of arc. We can see that his elbow is above his forehead. And then if we really pay attention to this ball, we can see how many times this ball spins in the air. That's one full rotation there. That's another full rotation, so that's 2. That is 3 rotations and about a quarter, 3.5 in that range. You want to have more than 2.5 rotations on the ball so that when it hits that rim, it hits it nice and soft. We can also see from this angle that he has no thumb flicks, so he's not like Steph Curry or Kyrie Irving. He shoots without a thumb flick. We can also see that he's slightly tilted away from the rim and has that ball over top of his upper arm, or at least half that ball over top of his upper arm, which then creates that shooting triangle that I always talk about. He also has a very close to 90-degree angle on his elbow, which will be a quick shot release for him. Now, even though he does have that dip, he does have a quick release. We can see right here that he does have the makings of a soft release, but he does have that hard 90-degree on his wrist, and his hand doesn't bend. However, if he was to actually have a softer release, I would actually say that that ball will have even more arc than it does right now, which would then allow him to have an even higher percentage shot, or at least in theory, a higher percentage shot. Let's also not forget that he has NBA range already, and he's only around 17 years old. Now, how he gets a lot of his shots is from kickouts from low post players. He doesn't really do a lot of off-ball movement, or the teams that he plays for don't usually set a lot of pin-down screens for him. He's either the one who's up at the point, already handling the ball and creating a shot for himself, or he will sit in the high post for those mid-range shots. But because he plays at the point, What basically happens with a lot of teams is they'll get that ball into the post or they'll drive, they'll kick it out, and then the team will make an extra pass to him, and we can see that here where they'll make that extra pass, and because he has range, he can go a lot farther out than normal players, especially at this youth or younger level. This is the U19 World Cup, and because of that, he's able to make a lot of those shots uncontested because he's shooting from such a distance, and teams have to run out and try to guard him. I hope that this video helps you become a better basketball player, especially if you're a lot lankier. If it does, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.